Facebook, and we are recording. Good morning from Michelle Hoffman's Liner Notes. Liner Notes are the insight that artists or curators offer to give us insight, to tell us what's really going on at the time that work of art is created, or what inspired that recording to be, or that document, that piece of that manuscript, or that becoming of who you are in the world. So Michelle Hoffman's liner notes are imperative insight and curated wisdom to inspire you to unblock your potential. In a changing world, you can create your own unique path to create balance and enjoy an abundant life with all the resources you need. I help new and seasoned managers develop high-performing teams to achieve personal and professional revenue goals. Discover how I can help you and your company succeed at lightthesparklady@gmail.com. It's lightthesparklady@gmail.com. Today, I'm very excited to welcome Danielle Felton, who can share with us some of her insight and wisdom. She's the best-selling author of Teach and Go Home, the sophisticated guide to simplifying and managing your workload, and more. Danielle helps teachers go from frustrated and drowning in their careers to thriving, loving, laughing, and making the impacts they want to make to contribute to their career's legacy. Danielle, thank you so much for helping teachers and educators by giving them the tips and tools to define their career plan, their work-life needs, and simplify their workloads. Thank you for joining us today. What kind of clients come to you?
Well, absolutely. It is my honor. Thank you so much for having me. I specifically have mostly teachers, but I do have the opportunity to speak with some administrators. So I'm primarily speaking with only people in education.
Okay. And what type of people come to you, or when do they say, oh my gosh, how did you get into this situation? How do you know about teachers and administrators who have some of these challenges, who feel like they're frustrated and drowning in their careers? How do you know about this?
Well, I think it's being in the education field myself. I've been an elementary school teacher for almost 10 years. So being in the field myself, being in the community, I speak with a lot of teachers. But since the coming out of my book and the publishing of my book, the conversation has really started as far as how to teach and go home. And these conversations really have just been about, how do I manage and balance my workload? I love my job, and the buts can be anything from I want to do other things. I want to do a side hustle. I want to focus on furthering my passions in my careers, and it's always that but. So the go home is really being able to balance your career. And so what is the and part for you?
So were you in a situation where, you said that you've been this teacher for a decade? Is that so? I mean, you've got all kinds of experience. Oh my God, the stories you can probably tell. And then were you in this situation at some point where you were feeling frustrated and you either wanted to do other things or find the passion in what you were doing or consider a side hustle?
Absolutely. So for me, it actually was very early on in my career. I was super ambitious, couldn't wait to start teaching, got into it immediately. And what I found was my ideal dream of what I expected. I expected to be able to go into the classroom, do my job, have a phenomenal time, maybe spend some time after school, maybe take a couple papers home, but really be able to still maintain and enjoy my life. When I first started, I was very early in my 20s. So having a life and being very social was very much a part of my everyday life. And what I found with working was that just was not the reality. For me, it was managing everything that had to do with teaching. So it was the actual going into work. That wasn't the hard part. It was the planning for it. It was the preparation. It was the grading. It was the emails. It was finding the time to actually complete the requirements of my job then have some time for myself. And that's really what was missing for me. What I found my biggest thing was it was the balance, finding the time to turn it off. So my biggest struggles were very, very early in my career. After I had those times, I made the decision, maybe I would say maybe about 3 years in, where I just said, this is not it. This can't be it. If
Mm.
this is going to be the remainder of my career, I am not going to last. So I made the decision to make a change, and it had to start with me. I had to find the balance. I found that for me, it was establishing a system, and that system was the system I talk about in my book. It's called POPP, and that's P for preparation, planning, organization, and productivity, and really simplifying the system and focusing on systematically going in order. It really changed the entire game for me.
Ah, now I understand. So when you had this experience yourself, and you were also saying that you'd spoken with your peers, your colleagues, other teachers, probably at all levels, as well as administrators, and we all get so excited about, you know, getting the education we need, preparing for having the opportunity to become get into our dream job, whatever it is. And in this case, it's being a teacher. And you're so excited to embrace this opportunity. It's going to be fantastic. And in fact, it is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so much more. The expectations were so much more, in your case, as you were pointing out, than just doing the teaching. There was the administration, you were saying, there was the planning, there was the preparing, there was the grading. So the teaching was probably really rewarding and really exciting, just as you hoped it would be. But being able to fulfill the expectations and requirements of the role are overwhelming and time consuming. In fact, as you were pointing out, they were life consuming. And 3 years into it, it was like, this is what I dreamed of my whole existence. And the piece of it I love, but I'm not going to have the endurance to continue to be the amazing teacher to educate our future children if I can't figure out a way to find work-life balance. Is that about it?
Absolutely. I love the way that you put that. And I think a term that I use is it's about the career legacy. And what I found was that I was so overwhelmed in the workload and the ideal dream versus the reality. I was I didn't have any opportunity in between to define what my legacy was, what my intention was going to be. And so really when you are not finding that balance, and especially in a career like teaching where it requires so much to give, what you do is you run out of that give. You run out of it for yourself because you don't put it back in. And so focusing on what your legacy is, what your intentions are, what your purpose is for teaching, and what it is that you are giving into your career, your passion, and equally focusing that right back into yourself, that is the balance. I
So
love
is,
to put that.
yeah, but is there like, do people get into a rut? I mean, 3 years into doing this work, you might feel like, okay, this is what it is. I just have to do it. And there's a fear of losing your job if you don't do it. There's a fear of failure if you don't keep up with, the expectations and demands of the things outside the passion of your role. And there's actually also a fear, I imagine, of success, that if you think this was it, and if you change it, what if it really did go well? What then? So, how do you help your clients, one, understand that they can actually adjust a few simple things, just a couple of little popping things, um, that would actually change their lives significantly enough that they could step into the legacy, as you were calling it, of their ideal dream job that they already have, but they do need to make a couple of changes to make the ideal reality an ideal dream job. How do you help people with that?
I think the first thing to point out is that you have to define what your career is and your job is. Because when it comes to establishing what your career legacy is, your job can be anything. It can be anything along the way. So when you are very clear and certain about what my career is going to be, that's going to be step one. And I think the next step after that is going to be understanding that you are the one in charge of this. This is your legacy. This is your career. So although circumstances are different, admin, policy, school districts, all those things are going to be intricate and those are going to change. It is you who is the one who shows up for the job. It is you who is the one who is in charge. You are the CEO of you. So really identifying that I'm the CEO of me. So really getting clear on that.
Okay, so step one, and you talk about, let's go into the POPP system too. Step one is to really be clear about the vision and the intention that you're setting to establish a legacy for yourself, more than a career legacy for yourself, not just the routine of doing what's expected of you day to day and creating a rut in that, but really visualizing very clearly your vision of you are your own CEO of your legacy career. You were also talking about POPP. So it was preparation, planning, organization, and productivity. Did I catch those? Will you tell us a little bit more about that?
So that is a simple acronym, and that is what I use to navigate almost everything, but specifically managing the workload. But you can even use it if we're going to continue with talking about our career legacy, you want to prepare for it. Preparation, identifying what is that? What is your intention? Next, you want to start planning for that. So if I want to be a classroom teacher, but there's usually a reason why we want to be teachers. We want to save the world. We want to save the children. You want to work with the children. There's always the extra little bit in it. So what is the extra bit in it?
Is that extra bit like a challenge or something that would, a limiting belief, something that's stopping you?
I would say the extra bit is going to be your mission. Most
Oh,
of the things, I know there's activism in them. There's always the extra bit of something. I teach, but
so,
so
wait, no, I don't get it yet. So bear with me. I teach because I believe, or I teach, finish the sentence. Give me an example of finishing the sentence so I know what it means.
I
Sorry.
like letting you
Okay.
because I teach because I want to impact the future. I teach because I want to impact the future. I teach because I want to make a difference in my community. So whatever the extra mission is, the passion behind it.
Ah, so that's the why. That's probably the driving force that actually gives you a reason to wake up. Because yes, we all want to teach. Yes, we all want to make a difference in the world, but that's the piece. It's what's getting you up in the morning so that you can help make a difference in the world. Thank you. Now I understand.
So you want to prepare, you want to plan with that. So plan intentionally along the career line. So whatever yours is, if yours is specifically activism, if yours is to make a difference in your community, what are those differences? You want to get organized. So if we're talking about the expansion of a career, does that mean that you need to do some professional development along the way? Do you need to start some clubs to get some accolades, maybe join some organizations, collegiate ones? So kind of organize and then productively execute. So if I'm gonna do a 5-year plan, I'm gonna do this on this year and etc. So
Okay. So what else do you do when clients come to you and they're figuring out, oh my God, I'm so frustrated. And it's like, you wouldn't even know because you're so busy doing the work. And you actually, there's going to be something that happens in life that's like, whoo, like you said, at the 3-year point, how am I going to continue to, make the difference in the world through teaching when I'm overwhelmed with everything that's coming my way that's above and beyond the teaching part of teaching. So you teach to define your career versus legacy and really create that CEO role. Planning of I want to teach because, and find I call it the spark. I'm the spark lady because of this. Um, Find that talent, find that drive, that inner motivation, that whatever je ne sais quoi it is that is actually, the burning desire that is behind the the regular job, because you can create opportunity in the job that you have. And that's what I think you're doing so beautifully, that seeing, the world that we are creating is a result of what we put into it. And we're going to bring our own talent into that. And then being able to identify all of the skill sets that we bring into the workplace with us and not narrow it down, because a teacher knows how to, share information and learn the learning styles that children have. I teach this when I work with managers, actually. I teach to listen to the communication, the nonverbal communication. I teach about getting a clear understanding of people's learning styles, and that's totally vital in the classroom, as you were pointing out, because then you can actually make the difference, and you can start to see the light bulbs go off when there's a clear communication that happens. That's what inspires people. And then it inspires the children, or in my case, the employees, to engage more and be more a part of what's happening. So you're actually doing more than the logistics of creating structure so that you've got work-life balance, but you're creating a system that allows people to be engaged in their life and to get that spark ignited so that there's a fire in your belly to get up and make a difference in the world. So you've got your POPP plan, the preparing, planning, organizing, and productivity. Do you want to speak more to any of those pieces, or do you want to share a story with us?
Um, sure. I'll speak a little bit more and I'll share a story. So I will do both.
Oh, good.
One other thing that I think is critical to the teaching piece, as well as having that clarity in what your mission and purpose is in the world and how to show up in the world, is also being able to tackle that workload, because the workload part of teaching is phenomenal, the actual grunt of it. And so that popping, preparation, planning, organization, productivity is also a system to simplifying and managing your workload. So preparing what it is, planning exactly what it is going to be, organizing how you're going to do it, and then productively executing it. So in addition to getting yourself in order, you also, I find one thing that I find to be a bit of a struggle when it comes to self-improvement is there's a lot of improvement within self, but then how do I execute all of this great knowledge and all this great help? So I help with that as well, and popping is how we go ahead and do that. But I think a short story, let me see. One of the most tragic, no, let's not do tragic. Let's do a simple and short story. A simple story. I've had a teacher, I happened, when my book first came out, I had a teacher that immediately reached out and was like, just teach me how to do this. And so we had a wonderful conversation about her experience in teaching. And what I found for her specifically, she was a young teacher, was that she loved her job. And that was what it was, that she loved her job undyingly and she was willing to commit it. This was her fresh ambition. She had been doing it for, I think, about 5 years now. And so she had just gotten tenured and she was just at the point where she had to make a decision of, what am I going to do next? I love the classroom, but I am burning out of it. And so what we talked about specifically for her was she really had a passion for counseling, and she was going to go ahead and make her way with that. But what the breakthrough piece for that was identifying what her vision was. And with that clarity, we kind of identified where the frustration came from. And the frustration was that I love my job, but what is it that I love in my job? So that was a super rewarding experience for me to get that clarity for her. And I look forward to her in her career. She's actually pursuing her master's.
That's so awesome. So this is an example of how you can really help someone be in alignment for what their passion and their purpose is within their current role, and or to take their experiences in that role to actually grow into who they are becoming. That's seriously impressive. Beautifully done. Danielle, what are some of the obstacles that teachers run into? I mean, teachers are our most valuable resource. We really need to support them. And if
Mhm.
they're feeling frustrated, out of balance in work life, overwhelmed, there's fear of failure. They're just too busy to figure out their legacy and how they actually are making a difference in the world, or that's just not the right time for them. But what are some of the obstacles that people run into if they don't pay attention to this?
If you don't pay attention to it, I think some of the first signs are going to be your atmosphere. Look around. You'll start to notice that things that you once did, they start to fall off. And what it's interesting enough is that you don't pay attention till they kind of all have fallen off, but your habits, your routines, you start to miss the things that used to just be once natural to you. Oh, I kind of miss going on a walk. Oh, when was the last time I went on a walk? So your life, it starts to become a very routine, very unexciting in ways. That was one of the most obvious ones for me. Your health, lack of sleep, not getting enough sleep, insomnia, missing meals, overeating, finding yourself just really in the pattern of the same, the pattern of monotony.
So if somebody is doing their job and they're doing the best that they can, they're feeling overwhelmed, frustrated, they know, nobody says, "Oh, I need to improve my work-life balance." But what we do notice is that our health starts to fail, or that we aren't enjoying things like we used to, or there's just that same sort of, or we wake up and we're not feeling refreshed. Because any of these things could, like you were saying, if we could pay attention to what's happening in our atmosphere internally and externally, those are going to be the clues to spark the moment of the signal to say something needs to change. You won't have endurance living like this. You won't have the joy living like this. It will probably cost you more in money or life experience if you continue going down this path and you don't put a system or have someone help you like this. And everyone, you can do it on your own, but getting a guide like Danielle, who's already figured it out to put the system in place, will increase your life experience immediately. And gosh, what's that worth? So Danielle, how would somebody get a hold of you? And again, what have you seen, or what has been with an experience with your clients when they've seen that it's the trigger to reach out to somebody like yourself?
I think the easiest way to contact me would be directly to just go ahead and email me. My email address is defpop at gmail, DEFPPOP at gmail. And what I have found since being out of the schoolhouse is that teachers have just been finding out and just reaching out immediately, or also downloading the book and then reaching out.
So if you are listening to this recording, this is a gift for you, because Danielle will be happy to share a free copy of her book if you reach out to her. What do you have to lose? You only have something to gain, because you're going to have the definition of the preparation, planning, organization, and productivity. So it's DEFPPOP at gmail.com to get in touch directly with Danielle. And as a gift for watching this, she said she would give you a free copy of her book. And all the tools are in there. And if the tools are not enough and you need customized guidance, you can reach out to her directly and connect with her through DEFPPOP at gmail.com. And then you can step outside of that risk of getting involved in risky and dangerous behaviors that could cost you life experience, time, money, relationships, your job, overwhelm, all of those things. So Danielle, thank you so much for joining us today on Michelle Hoffmann's Liner Notes. And if any of you know someone who would benefit from Danielle's help, you're welcome to share this. And or if you know a business owner or CEO, or you are a manager who wants to develop high-performing teams, you can reach out to me at lightthesparklady at gmail.com for a free copy of the new management blueprint to spark talent ignite winning teams, and create valuable results. Because it seems, I love the similarities between what you're doing with teachers, Danielle, and what I do with management and management teams. So we kind of have two different sides of the coin there, total collaboration. Thank you again for joining us today on Michelle Hoffman's Liner Notes, Danielle.
Thank you.